I'm from London. Whoa, got it. I got it. So, hi Ashley. How are you? So fine. So I was born and grew up in England, and I did philosophy at Manchester University, which was a complete waste of time. Philosophy is what you do when you don't know what else to do. So I did philosophy at Manchester University, and as a DJ, dance music. I think you guys have EDM, but we had vinyl back then, big black round record things. So, so I played drum and bass and house music back in the day,
Whoa.
and I did all the not so healthy things that come along with that lifestyle, if you know what I mean. And
Whoa.
I started looking around me, and I realized very few people are particularly happy. I asked the question, "How are you?" Very profound question, actually. How are you? And the five top answers to the question, "How are you?" were kind of can't complain, hanging in there, could be worse, getting by, not too bad. And I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is a tragedy." Not too bad means you're bad, but it's not too bad. So I was like, "That I can't do that. I'm not going to do that." So I decided to work out what is life actually all about. What am I meant to be doing? What am I meant to be achieving? I speak to many people and I say to them, "What do you want?" And everyone says, "I want to be happy." So it's like, that's great. So why isn't anyone happy? Everyone wants to be happy, but very few people are seriously, consistently, authentically living a life of vitality and connection and consciousness and conscientiousness and sweetness and healthy relationships. And very few people are doing that. What's going on here? So I worked out that life is actually quite easy. There are only three steps. You got to know what am I trying to achieve? How do I achieve that? And then do those things. So I was like, great, I got to work out what am I trying to achieve? What's the point? And my grandfather actually died when he was 100 years old. And he said to me, before he died, he said to me, "You don't want to live an I should have life." So I was like, "What do you mean, grandfather?" And he was like, "Well, when you get to 90, you don't have so much to look forward to. So start looking back on your life. I really should have traveled more. I should have been to the gym. I should have worked out what the purpose of life is. I should have told my wife more often how much I love her. I should have." So you start looking back on your life and you can regret your life. Um, but you can live your life now, from now, so that when you get to 90, you're not regretting it. You can live an amazing life. So I was like, I really heard that. And I was like, I'm going to do that. It's a crazy idea. So what I did when I left university, I decided to travel because for most people in England, you just leave university and you go straight into a job. And I believe in America as well. After you leave university, you've usually got, thanks. Thanks, Daniel Grunberg. Like, I'll see you next week. You can feed me next week, Grunberg. I'm in
De
it.
nada.
Thanks, man. So fine. It's very interactive, this series. I like it. So, so I was like, I'm going to work it out because I think in America as well, people leave university or college with kind of college debt, and then you have to get whatever job you can to kind of pay back your college debt. And you're 28 years old, and you're suddenly thinking, "Hold on, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? What's the point?" So I decided I'm going to work out what I'm doing before I commit my whole life to doing it. It's a very good idea. So I I wondered, I thought Western society doesn't seem to be the most healthy value system. It's because people don't seem to be that happy and enjoying their jobs. I read a survey, LinkedIn says that 84% of people don't like their jobs. I was like, I don't want to do that. So I said, right, I'm going to go and work it out. So I decided to live in Asia for 6 years, really 7 years, because I watched lots of martial arts films, lots of Bruce Lee films, and Bruce Lee said some good stuff, you know. He was my first Rebbe, my first rabbi. Bruce Lee's real name was Baruch Leibowitz, actually. That's not true. But everything else I say today is true. But Bruce Lee said things like, don't pray for an easy life, pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. I was like, whoa, that makes sense to me, Bruce, because in England, I don't know about in America, but in England, my school didn't teach me anything, anything of use, no life skills. No one said to me when I was 11 years old, you know what? You are going to have some disappointments in life, and here are the 3 top things you need to know to deal with disappointment in life. They didn't tell me that. They just taught me maths and history and geography and stuff like that. I was like, hold on, I don't know. And I don't know about life. I don't know how to live a good life. I don't know how to control my mind or my body. So I decided I'm going to go and be a master. I'm going to go and work on self-mastery. So I lived in Asia for 6 years. I'm not going to tell my whole story. I'll just show you some pictures quickly because here's my book, by the way, but I don't know if you can see some pictures. I lived in Sri Lanka first. I worked in orphanages, and then I lived in Nepal for a long time. And then I trained in Shaolin. I got a black belt in Aikido, in Taekwondo, and a brown belt in Aikido. And I trained, here's my Aikido master. Here, I was teaching Buddhism to Buddhist monks, actually. I was very into Buddhism. I did lots of 10-day silent meditation retreats. That's why I speak so much now, by the way. I can't stop speaking. I have to just be quiet for 10 days. And I walked the whole length of Israel. Took 40 days from the Lebanese border to Eilat. That was in the newspaper. So anyway, I was just trying to work it out. What's the point of life? What am I trying to do? So you can read my book, but tonight I don't want to waste your time with my story. I want to teach you the most important thing that I learned, and I believe it's the most important thing you will ever learn in your whole... Hey, there's the book. Hey. So this is the most important thing I believe that anyone could ever speak to you about, and it's the most important thing you could ever do, know, learn. And it's really based on a Mishnah, a saying of our sages in Pirkei Avot. Pirkei Avot is Ethics of Our Fathers. It's an amazing book, ancient book that is basically advice from our granddads, Ethics of Our Fathers. And one of the things it says there is Ezehu Gibor. Ezehu Gibor, which means who is a master, who is strong, who is great. Ezehu Gibor, who is a master. A kovesh. So the answer, and the Tao Te Ching actually parallels this often. The answer is hakovesh et yitzro, the person who learns to deal with their mind. A master is someone who learns to deal with their mind, because that's the biggest battle we have in life. Your biggest battle in life is with your own mind. Don't know if you noticed that, but from the second you wake up in the morning to the second you go to sleep, your mind is going, unless you do some meditation, which we'll be speaking about. Your mind is working non-stop. Think about it today, since you woke up. What time is it? Like 10 past 8 there. So you've all been awake for 12 hours, let's say 13 hours. How many moments of not thinking did you have? How many moments of complete peace did you have? So for most people, none. Your mind was constantly going. Now, you can also think to yourself, what percentage of your thoughts were uplifting and sweet? I don't do any thinking at all. I don't think about that. But even when you don't think at all, your mind's probably commenting. It's probably saying, I like this, I don't like this, I want this, I don't want this. I hope they like me, I hope I like them. And most people have, it's impossible not to have something in your head. Something's going on in there. However stoned or busy you might be, something's happening in there. So Hakaveshi Yitzro means I'm actually going to start choosing what's going on in my mind. Rather than being a victim, whatever comes into my consciousness, that's going to be my reality. What we want to do is start choosing our mind, because, and I believe this is the most important thing anyone's going to say to you ever, if I may say so, is your whole experience of life is just whatever's going on in your mind. I'll say that again. Your mind is your life. Your thoughts create your emotions. So if you're having happy, uplifting, sweet, conscious thoughts, you're going to have good emotions, happy, sweet, uplifting, wonderful emotions. If your thoughts are negative, low self-esteem, or you're judging yourself, you're judging other people, you're judging your situation, you're saying it's not fair, you're saying, why me? You have fear, anxiety, doubt, jealousy, worry, hatred, low self-esteem, whatever it is, that's going to be your reality. So Judaism teaches that you can't just be a victim to that mind. You have to start training and calming and directing and focusing your mind in order to create a good reality for yourself. So I learned that very early on, and I did these 10-day silent meditation retreats. And the retreats, it wasn't only silence, it was also no reading, no writing, no listening to music, no phones, no TV. It was nothing. It was just you and your mind, really. And people say, don't you go crazy? And I'm like, yeah, a little bit. It could be a little bit crazy. But the truth is that for many people, I'm sure not you so much because you're connected to Masora, which means you're looking for more depth and meaning in your life. For many people, most of their life is just distracting themselves from their own mind. So that means whatever, you come home from a hard day of work, what do? 3 hours of Netflix and WhatsApp, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook, whatever it is. But we're just distracting ourselves the whole time. And we can tell this by, if you ask yourself, how long do you spend alone? Or how often do you be completely alone? And when I say alone, I mean without a phone and without a book, just sitting in nature or just being by yourself. Now, for most people, it's very, 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 very minimal amount of time. Some people, by the way, are great at it and they do it the whole time and they love being alone and they actually want people just to leave them alone. But most people, if they come early and no one's there, and they got 10 minutes, they got a note, I'm going to be home in 10 minutes. Don't think to themselves, amazing. 10 minutes just to be, just to sit and breathe and appreciate life. People don't do that. They suddenly have to check an email, or they remember they forgot to do that thing at the bank, or we're always escaping. And our sages actually teach us that the essential faculty of our soul, the essential faculty of your soul is to be alone. How do we know that? Because Adam was created alone in the Garden of Eden 2 weeks ago, the pasture. He was created alone. So we're meant to be able to be alone. By the way, the Torah then goes on to say, it's not good to be alone. You're not meant to be alone. You're meant to be in contact with other people, but you're meant to be able to be alone. Because only when you're really able to be alone can you truly be there for other people. Many people who are very sociable, it's only because they're escaping being alone. And they might be very nice people, by the way, I'm sure they are. But if you need to escape being alone and being with other people, you're not really being there fully present with someone else, because you're really fulfilling your own need to escape being alone. And the reason you can't be alone, not you, the reason people often can't be alone is because when you're really alone and you don't have any distractions, you realize that you're not alone. Do you know who's there? Your mind. Your mind's there. So you're not alone at all. Your mind's talking or constantly all the time, and people don't like that. So they run away. So meditation and mindfulness is the art of learning to calm and control your mind rather than distract yourself and escape from your mind. That's what we're trying to do. So often it's hard to fall asleep, for example, because your mind's just going, or you send someone a WhatsApp message and you can see it's got 2 blue check marks and you're like, I know they saw that 45 minutes ago and they haven't replied yet, and that means she's sleeping with him and he hits me, and and we create a whole world in our minds, and you don't need to do that. What you need to do is learn to calm and control your mind so you can become a good tennis player. You can improve your tennis. You could become a good cook. You could become a good doctor. You could become good at things. So what you need to do in your life, me, all of us need to do, is become a good thinker. No one really thinks about this, but you can start becoming a better thinker. I want to think better. I want to think clearer. I want to think more positively. And that is the most important thing in your life to become good at, as we said before, because your thinking creates your reality. So you start thinking better, you're going to have a better reality. So that's really what's behind all of this. And in our life, we have things that are involuntary and we have things that are voluntary. What do I mean by that? Involuntary means, for example, your heartbeat. Your heartbeat's just going, thank God, all the time, whether you're awake or whether you're asleep. You're not thinking about it. It's just happening. Your breath, your walk. Then there are things that are voluntary. which is walking, for example, walking. You have to choose to walk. Very few people walking involuntary. So walking is voluntary and heartbeat is involuntary. There are two things that could be either, and that is your breath and your thoughts. Your breath is happening whether you like it or not, but you can turn it into a voluntary. You can start choosing it. You can start being conscious. You can hold the breath. You can breathe slower. You can breathe deeper. You can breathe faster. You can do many types of breathing. So you can turn breath from an involuntary function of your physicality into a voluntary thing where you're actually becoming conscious of it. The other thing is your thoughts. Your thoughts are happening whether you like them or not. They're just going constantly. But those you can choose to make voluntary. Those you can choose how to think and what to think and when to think and why to think. You can choose to not think so much. So that's what we're trying to do. In these two sessions, I want to teach you actual tools of Jewish mindfulness and meditation so that we can start actually consciously choosing what, when, and how we think, which is the most important thing we could do. Bezras Hashem. Are there any questions immediately? Oh, go on, Sky.
So you equated thinking better and thinking clearer with thinking positively. Are those really like the same things? Because I feel like it's I understand how to train yourself to think more positively, but I feel like that's different than thinking clearer.
Wow, that's such a good question. You know what I want to do? Good question. I want to define positive and negative. When it comes to thoughts and emotions, what's the definition of positive and negative? So this is how I'm going to define them. Very important. Positive means it serves a purpose. It's serving a purpose. It's doing something. Negative means it doesn't serve a purpose. It's not helping me. So for example, let's say you do an exam on Monday and you're getting the results on Friday. Does worrying in between, does worrying about the results serve any purpose? So the answer is it doesn't serve any purpose. So therefore, it's negative. It's not doing anything for you. In fact, it's making you really upset and is ruining your life. So in that way, I would equate thinking more clearly with thinking more positively, because it means, is there a goal behind this? Is it helping me? Is it doing anything in my life? So worrying about exam results is negative. Now, something like sadness, for example, is that a positive or negative emotion? So the truth is, it's probably quite positive, because you need to feel sad. Difficult and challenging how you should feel sad. Why? Because it's helping you process it, help you process it, is helping you get somewhere. But so when I say clearly, it means I'm consciously choosing what to think, rather than just being a whole mess of whatever kind of burps up into my consciousness. That's going to be my reality. And it means I'm going to calm my mind, and thinking clearly, therefore, would be connected to more positive thinking, because if you are thinking clearly, which means serving a purpose, you are going to start trying to get the majority of your thoughts positive. You want to get your thoughts positive without repressing negative thoughts and without repressing emotions. That's not healthy. So if you do feel, we're going to really speak about this a lot next week, but if you do feel anger, jealousy, doubt, fear, hatred, these things that we might call negative, the way isn't to repress them and ignore them, but thinking clearly is, how do I process an emotion like that in a healthy way? So this is the path we're trying to tread here. The path of, here's another idea of what clear means. Jewish meditation isn't only about just thinking more positively. That's not the purpose. The purpose of thinking more clear and more calmly and more positively, we say in Judaism, is a spiritual thing. Now, I want to define spiritual, because some people think spiritual is like doing Bikram yoga with incense, or sitting on the beach and smoking some weed or whatever, and talking to God. It was very cute. I like that. I mean, I used to be into that. But what we mean when we say spiritual in Judaism means that you're actually experiencing your soul. You're actually identifying as and manifesting and experiencing your spiritual essence, who you really are. So the purpose of meditation isn't just to become, I don't know if any of you have read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Not a Jewish book. I'd really read it. I think it's a very wonderful book, but it really seems like the purpose for them is to be very calm and positive. So Judaism doesn't say that. That's not the purpose. Being calm and positive is only a stepping stone towards experiencing your soul. And by the way, experiencing your soul is only a stepping stone to experiencing Hashem. I don't want to use the word God, because God makes me conjure up an image of an angry, egotistical man in the sky who's going to punish me if I don't do his stupid rules. So we don't believe that God is an angry man in the sky. We believe God is an angry woman in the sky. It's a much more, that's not true. We don't believe that. So we don't, maybe we actually need to speak Kabbalah 101, what God really is. But very briefly, God, we don't believe exists. God isn't an existence separate from me. God is everything. God is existence. Which, by the way, if God is existence, what are you? So you, in Jewish thought, God is everything. God is infinite. It means that you're a part of God. You're a piece of God. And what we're trying to do is manifest that in existence. So when you wake up in the morning like a piece of God, you feel like a piece of something else. So Jewish meditation and thought and philosophy is actually trying to help you manifest your soul. So your soul is very, 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 very pure. And it's very perfect, if you can be very perfect. And it's calm and clear and pure and positive and loving and happy and healthy. Your essential nature is enlightened. Jewish thought says that you are already enlightened, by the way. Judaism isn't a path to enlightenment. Judaism is a path to revealing that you're already there. You're already perfect. It's just that we have our mind covers up our perfection. And we identify more with our mind than with our soul. We say, this is me. How do I prove that? Because if you have a jealous thought, then you beat yourself up for having a jealous thought. Why do I have a jealous thought? I'm so bad. So Judaism says you are not your mind. You're not your mind. You're the consciousness that lies behind your mind. Who's experiencing your thoughts? Who's aware of your thoughts? You're having all those thoughts. Who's in there? Who's the seat of consciousness that is aware of your thoughts? So we say that's your perfect, pure, sweet, shining, holy, wonderful, happy, sweet, beautiful, sweet soul. That's who you are. 2 weeks ago, we read Bereshit, the Parsha Bereshit. And the very beginning of the Torah says, Bereshit bara Elokim et hashemayim ve'et haaretz, which is usually translated in the beginning of God creating the heavens and earth. The word bara means to create, but it's related to the word bari. And bari means healthy. Labriot, if someone sneezes, you say labriot. Bari means healthy. So our sages teach us that nature is, in its nature, it's healthy. Creation is healthy until we come and put all the plastic in the sea. Nature is actually healthy, and you are healthy. You're not, and you can see this, by the way, with babies. Babies are very happy. Babies are happy the whole time. My son just turned 3, so he's not happy all the time anymore. But when he was like 6 months old, babies are I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy. Life is amazing. What is this? It's a hand. Wow, life's amazing. And then it feels some pain. It doesn't know what the pain is. It's hunger, but it doesn't know that. So it starts crying. And it's crying, crying, crying. So do you know what you do? Here's some parenting training. You feed it. It's a crazy idea. You feed it. By the way, when your children are older, you don't necessarily have to feed them when they're hungry so that they can learn some self-control. My son Binyamin, when he was 5, said to me, Abba, I'm hungry. So I said to him, that's okay. My wife was like, what do you want to eat? I'll get you anything. It's lucky he's got a mum as well. Anyway, so when a baby's young and he's hungry, he starts crying. So you feed him. And do you know what happens to the baby when it gets the bottle? He's just happy again. He's cool. The baby's not sitting there thinking, why did it take you so long to give me a bottle? What does that mean about me? I'm not worth anything. I bet my friends have nicer bottles than me. Oh, they don't do all that nonsense because it doesn't serve any purpose. So they just drink their bottle and then they're fine and they're happy. And then they feel something really uncomfortable. And basically there's something in their diaper. So what do? You change their diaper. Do you know what happens after you change their diaper? They're completely happy again. They don't sit there and be like, oh, that was disgusting. I hope no one smelled that. I'm so embarrassed. Don't put that on my Instagram feed. They're not doing that either. They're just like, it's cool now. It's gone. It's cool. So we're the ones who keep things going the whole time. So we got to learn how not to do that so much. So here's an example I like to use to differentiate between your body, your mind, and your soul. How many days a year does the sun shine in London? I'm from London. Both my parents are South African, by the way, if you're wondering about my accent. But how many days a year does the sun shine in London? Moti, don't give it away.
60.
5. Good guess.
60.
5. 60. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to tell you the answer. Adam wins the prize. The sun shines 365 days in London. It's just that on 359 days, there are clouds and rain. So you can't see it shining, but it is shining. The sun is always shining. Oh, have you still got me? Looks like you've all frozen.
I can hear you.
You can hear me, great. So fine. So the sun's shining 365 days in London. It's just that the clouds are covering it up. So too, your soul is always shining. It's always pure. It's always sweet and loving and kind and healthy and happy. It's just that your mind is covering it up most of the time. So what we need to do is learn to calm our mind and clear our mind so that we can experience the clear, bright, blue, sun-filled, sweet expanse of reality that is your soul. Very important. Most people never get to experience their soul because the clouds are in the way. The mind is in the way. So in order to do that, we need to calm the mind. We need to calm the mind down. So that's really what our meditation is all about. My wife is an amazing, oh, you should bring her in to speak, by the way. My wife's a yoga teacher and an energy healer. I used to think to be a religious Jewish woman, you have to only ever wear black and just have 10 children and be miserable and never speak. But then I met my wife and she's this amazing self-expressed yogini art meditation. Anyway, I can now talk about my wife for the next hour. No, okay. I've only got 5 minutes left. Oh my goodness. Next week when I come, I'm just going to speak for like 2 hours, anyone who wants to hang around. But she uses a different example. She says, if you go to sea, you're on a boat, there could be a crazy storm going on and the waves, you've got 50-foot waves and they're crashing around you and it's crazy. All you have to do is go under the water. Let's say you've got some scuba diving equipment. If you go under the water, 20 meters under the water, it's completely calm. It's completely quiet. It's completely calm. Doesn't matter how crazy it is on the surface, underneath, deeper down, it's always calm and quiet. So too with your emotions and your thoughts and your troubles and everything going on. That's all on the surface. It's just that most people never get away from the surface. We're living a very surface, superficial level life where any thought that comes into my mind, I make it very serious. And any emotion, it overwhelms me. So we need to start going a little bit deeper into our souls, not to escape the thoughts and emotions. That's not what we're doing, because escaping doesn't help. It doesn't work. It's to get a higher or deeper perspective on your thoughts and emotions so you can start choosing which ones you're going to make your reality. So what we're going to do next week is I'm going to teach you, there are 4 main meditation and mindfulness techniques that you're going to need to use. So next week, I'm going to teach them to you. Just a brief summary is there are 2 main types of meditation. There's passive meditation and active meditation. Passive meditation is the art of calming your mind down, calming and clearing your mind. Active meditation is the art of using your mind in order to create a reality. Or you could think of it like this. Passive meditation is taking out all the weeds and all of the thorns and just clearing the garden. Active meditation is then planting nice things. So you're taking out all the thorns and the weeds and the nettles, and then you're planting the lavender bushes. Or passive meditation is you have a whiteboard which is full of writing. So passive meditation is to clean the whiteboard. Active meditation is to start to choose, what do I want to have written on my whiteboard? I have a space, what do I want to put in there? So we're going to really be speaking about that, talking about the 4 main types of Jewish meditation, and also if we have time to talk about prayer, what prayer really is. Even the word prayer isn't Jewish, the word tefillah, how speaking, because we have really, our sages teach us, you have your soul, and then you have 3 garments of your soul, which is thought, speech, and action. So we want all of our thought, everything you do in your life is either thought, speech, or action, or a combination. So we want to refine and uplift our thought, our speech, and our action. So prayer is actually a huge way to completely refine your speech, you got your head and your heart. You got your head and your heart. Often your heart doesn't in line with your head. You know something is true, but you're not being in line with it. So in between the head and your heart, you have your mouth. So if your mouth can speak, you teach your heart. So anyway, we got lots to talk about. I'm going to finish with a story. Everyone get your cup of tea and you can up a bit. You know what? Hashem says your time's up anyway. It's 35 past. You were only given 35 minutes. So Hashem's like, yeah, you're done. Can you hear me again? Because I'd like to tell you a story. Okay, children, come with me. So it's a story that I learned in India, but it obviously comes from the Torah, that there was a lion. There was a lioness and she was pregnant. And she was walking along one day and she fell off a cliff. And in mid-air, she gave birth to her lion cub. And then she fell and she died. And the lion cub was born and she had fallen into a field. And it was a field with sheep in the field. So the lion cub basically thought it was a sheep. And it hanged around with the sheep and it started eating grass and it started making sheep noises. And it really thought it was a sheep. Had a bit of a complex because the other sheep seemed a bit scared of it. But it was walking around with the sheep and making sheep noises and being a little sheep, a sheep, lion, cub thing. So it grew up amongst the sheep. And then one day a lion came and the lion was hungry and it started chasing the sheep, and all the sheep, including our little lion sheep cub thing, starts running away. And the lion sees this lion cub amongst the sheep and it's like, what's going on? So it runs and it catches the lion cub and it picks it up and it says, what are you doing? And the lion sheep says, meh. So the lion's like, what? And he's like, meh. He goes, what are you doing? He goes, I'm running away from the lion. I want to escape from the lion. And the lion says, but you are a lion. And the lion sheep cub says, meh, well, I don't believe you. Leave me alone. He goes, you're a lion. And he's, no, I'm not. So the lion takes him to the water. He says, look in the water. So he looks in the water and he sees, and he still says, no, I don't know what you did. You're tricking me. I don't believe you. So then the lion just looks and he roars. Roar! You know, like when Musafa, you know, where Simba and Nala are in the elephant graveyard and the hyenas are there. And he's like, yeah. And Sonia's like, I love Mufasa. My whole life is based on like Mufasa. Roar! It's that roar. So the roar comes and suddenly it wakes up. The lion wakes up. The lion guy is like, oh yeah. And he does his little roar, I'm a lion. So in India, that story is often told in the ashrams there. And obviously you can work out the story. The lion is the guru, is the rabbi or the rebbitzin. And I'm coming along and I'm saying to you, guys, you're a soul. You're perfect. You're enlightened. And you're like, no, I'm not. I'm not good enough. I can't do that. Life's hard. I'm like, no, what are you talking about? You're a soul. You're perfect. But most people, they identify with their mind or with their pain or with their trauma or with their childhood. They identify with the wrong thing. And the rabbi's coming along, and basically this is what the shofar is. On Rosh Hashanah, the shofar is, wake up, wake up. You know who you are. You're a soul, wake up. And so what we have to do is we have to start training you to identify as a lion instead of a sheep, because you're a lion. You're not a sheep. You're a soul. You're not a mind. So what we have to do is learn to control the mind in order to reveal the soul. And that's what we're going to be doing live in person next week. Any questions, suggestions, complaints, jokes, donations?
Okay.
I believe you don't have to have come this week to come next week. So bring all your friends next week.
Amen. Bring all your lion friends, guys.
Yeah. Thank God I'm a lion. We're all
Thank you,
lions.
Rabbi Dov Ber. Enjoy the
Thank
rest
you.
of your very long day.
Yeah, I'm excited now. It's only it's like 3:40 in the morning. Okay, I'm going to the park now.
Thank you, Rabbi Dov Ber.
Okay, here we go. We're going to open up all the rooms here.
Next week, we are going to actually meditate.
Yes.
Okay, we heard you the first time. Goodness gracious.
Let's stop the recording here. Yes.